Hey guys and gals, Nate Madsen back with another vlog. This one is all about 18 different hacks or tips that I have for you in Logic Pro X. Coming up next. Okay, let's dig right in. These are not in any particular order except for the first one. First one is all about how you can change your hotkey bindings, your settings. Or you can also import, export those if you're going, for example, to a different workstation you want to, or a different computer, and you want to have the same set of hotkeys. You can do that. It's real simple. Just go Preferences, Key Commands. You have presets right here, or you can just edit them. I can show you what they are. You can look at any conflicts you have. You can also go through and you can import key commands. You can save as if you want to take them to another computer. So that's number one. The reason why I'm showing this to you first is because some of my selections, some of my hotkeys are set up to what I like. They may not be what you like. All right, number two, and this is kind of a combo. You hit A to see automation. You hit X to see your mixer. And you hit Command 6, at least on my machine, to see your piano roll. Now, my piano roll is blank because I don't have this selected, but then you see that right there. A couple of other ones you can do real quick is if you Command 2, you can see your mix window. If you have multiple monitors, you can set it up there. Another thing, depending on your monitor and your eyesight and everything like that, you can pick between large or small if you want. You can pick what you want to see, that kind of deal. All right, number three is advanced mode versus simple mode. There's a very easy way to tell if you're in simple mode. If you're in simple mode, you're going to have wood paneling on the left and the right hand side of your DAW window. I'll just show it to you real fast. You go Preferences in General, and you go to Advanced. Now I have advanced tools set up right now. This gives you a lot more in-depth features, and the GUI changes a little bit. You'll see if I click this off, I have wood paneling here and there. And also, a lot of the options have left. It's a more simplified workspace. Some people like this. Some people prefer this versus the more in-depth. And some of your GUI has changed as well, your icons. And if you want to bring it back, you just tick it and it comes back. You have additional options you can pick through right there as well. All right, so that's if you are between simple and advanced mode. So number four is how you can change what Logic does when you open up a session. Mine is set to do nothing, right there. Or you can say, open up my last project, open up an existing project, maybe start with a template, or maybe you always want to start with a new empty project. Whatever, you can just say, what do you want me to do this time? I like doing nothing because that way I can just let Logic know what I want to do for that day. I might be opening up an old project, I might be creating a new one, I might work from a template, or I might make a new template. It just depends. So that's the one I like to do. But this is where you can go. You just go File, Logic, Preferences, General, and then right there, this is where you can handle how Logic's going to open up for you. All right, moving on to number five. When you're recording, for example, I just record something real fast. If I record over this, it's going to blend the two things together, the two regions. And now they're blended. And you can see that Command 6 right there. If I undo, that goes away. But if you wanted to have that be separate or whatever, it's very simple to do that. Preferences, Recording. And it's right down here. Right now I have mine on Merge. Whether I have my cycle on or off, it's merging. For audio, if I'm recording multiple takes of a saxophone solo, me yodeling, whatever, then it's going to create a take folder. And I can later go in and take the comps I want and dump out what I don't. So that's how you can change the recording behavior. Okay, so let's say you're working on a sound design project. Let's say you're working on something where you have to have very defined regions. I have two different regions right now. Let's make one more. Why not? Now I've got three different regions, they're all different lengths. I can go through and be like, okay, I can drag this and try and make it really, really match up. But if I'm doing this, let's say I want to export out just this type of audio that's happening, just this much audio that's happening in that middle region there. That's kind of laborious. So I can go over here to your cycle and right click. You can select Auto Set Locators. And then whatever you're selecting to, it will make the locators match that length. It's very powerful, very useful. You do have to be careful with this one though, because if you have very carefully, meticulously set, this is my region now, and you are working with that, and you have the auto set locator enabled, and you accidentally click on something, it's going to undo what you've done. All right, so when you're done with it, turn it back off. That's just my advice there. Here's number 7. This is how to reset things to 0 or to center. If I go through and I'm changing a whole bunch of crap, like that. And let's say I want to default back to center. I can hold down Option, and I can get back to unity or get back to center. My eyeball's about to fall out. Here's number 8. How to quickly change the octave. So I have this piano. And I have everything selected. I can go, I want to go up an octave and go up to E2. But that takes a little bit of time. Instead, for my machine, it's Control, Command, and the arrow up or down key. Like that. That's really nice. That's how I have my binding set up. Or if I want to just change, for example, it's starting on E. Let's say I want to change it to an F. I just hold down Option and up or down. You can go by half steps. That's pretty useful. Quantizing. So you'll see right here, I played this in and it's not quantized. If I wanted to quantize it, I just go over here, select what type of, I can set what type of value I want, whether chord notes, eighth notes, where I want to be triplets or not, triplet 32nd note, bam, and it's quantized. You can undo it, you can go to eighth notes, and it's quantized. You can also change how much strength your quantization is happening by that. There's another very powerful option in MIDI. Let's say I wanted to make all 4 of these start on the downbeat, and there they are. But they're ending at different times. I can hit Shift, Command, and then drag around, and it will make them all the same length. It's really nice when you're doing like an arpeggiator type thing, and your length of notes are different, because quantization by default will always attack the front end. But this is something Logic's a little bit behind on. For example, Cubase will allow you to quantize the length of notes. You can do it in Logic, but it's way more messy than it needs to be, in my opinion. It's way simpler in Cubase. But this is kind of a nice workaround. Now, there is a caveat to this. It's not something where, for example, if I click this and I do Shift, Command, and then move, do you see what happens? It's going to go to the latest point. It's not like, oh, I'm going to make all these a chord note and stretch them out. So there are some limitations to it. But that's one way you can quantize your MIDI a bit faster. That's number 9. Here comes number 10, automation. Let's pretend I have a whole bunch of automation going on. And I really want this to carry over somewhere else. There's a couple of ways you can do it. By the way, if you just click this, it duplicates this track with all the settings you have. If I move this down, it's going to give me a prompt. Do you want to copy the automation data? Let's say yes, I do. Okay, now it's there. That's one way you can do it. If you don't want to carry that over, then you have a clean MIDI track, but it doesn't have all the automation data. So it depends. I use this a lot, for example, when I'm bringing in other stuff, new layers, and I want to follow the same curve I've already done with the CC data on a layer that I've been producing. Let's say I wanted to double this with some Rhodes or whatever, double it with some strings. I wanted to follow the same volume automation. This is perfect for that. Let's talk about bookmarking your locations. Now, if you go to my machine right here, and if I want to get to my samples are in a RAID, and I have to go through here, and I have to go through, and I find my stuff. It's kind of laborious. So what I did was I bookmark it, which is very simple. You can go, okay, here is my sample libraries. Now you do have to have the location highlighted, because if I have nothing highlighted and I go here, some of my options are going to be grayed out. So highlight your location and you say, first off, let me show you. There's my bookmarks. I've bookmarked projects and sound effects. If I wanted to bookmark sample libraries, I need to go into and select the sample library root folder, go to my gearbox, and say bookmark sample libraries. So now if I go here, sample library shows up. If you want to take it away, you just remove the bookmark and it's there. Super simple. I highly recommend you use bookmarks because then you're not digging around as much. You can select some isolated spots that you tend to always go to, and you have a faster way of going to it than having to dig around your system. Here's number 12. Drag over plugins with settings. Okay, let's say I'm making a new software track and I want to bring over this compressor, right? Here's the settings. It's just default settings. I can do a couple different ways. I can click it like this and hold down Option, and it gives you the plus sign, and then it comes over and look, same exact settings. Exactly the same. All right, so you can drag things over with Option and it will save the same settings. Or another way you can do it is you can save as a channel strip, like this. And I've done some of those before where I'll have certain sounds from Skateboard I really like, certain sounds from other things I've just been messing around and I really like that sound. I can load that in and save it. You can use it in other projects. It's very, very helpful. All right, one of my favorite plugins to use is the Delay Designer. I love this plugin. And so let's just load one in. Audio unit or Delay Designer. Here we go. All right. So those that don't know, what you're doing is you're just creating your various taps at different intervals of time. And then this is your level. You can set your pan, your transposition, your resonance, or your cutoff. A lot of times you're going to mess with this. You might mess with some of the panning or transposition. Now, I used to just go through and meticulously do this, and it took forever to drag and drop all the various pings. There's a better way to do it. If you hold down Command while you're in this, while this menu is in focus, you can just draw it in like that, which is really, really nice. You can make slopes a lot faster. It's very, very useful. And it works across the various types of parameters you have. And then you can go through and you can set your dry and wet mix, and there you go. Now, if you make more pings that are outside this little value right here, let's say you want to stretch this out, like you have one way over here. Well, now you can't see, you can drag this, but you can't see everything. It's kind of annoying. Just click the auto zoom button and it will always find the whole picture for you. Now you may want to turn that off if you're digging in really deep and then go back to the macro. All right, so sometimes you want to automate certain things and some plugins have a lot of parameters. So we're going to go back and we're going to push A again and we're going to see automation. But right now, for example, on the piano, I just have the volume showing up. But I can do all kinds of stuff. I can go in my tape delay, go into my compressor, go in my EQ. But you have a whole bunch of different settings here. Different peaks, you have different shelves, you have different parameters here. And sometimes, depending on your plugin and how it's labeled, it might be confusing what goes to what. There's a very easy way to find that out. So I'm just going to show you real fast. Might be easier if I just show you the EQ first. There's my EQ. All right, I'm going to go over here to touch, and I'm going to enable touch instead of read. And I'm going to move around this peak. Now, some of these will tell you what they are. Some of these plugins will not. So this is what's useful about this. And it's moving around. So then you can go through and you can say my peak gain, my peak Q factor, and my frequency. And you can change all that. And then once you're done setting that to whatever you want it to be, you just switch it back to read. So that's a very useful way to be able to deduce, what am I changing here? Instead of going through and like, well, which one is this and which one is this, or counting. You don't have to do that. Just turn on touch, move things around. It also allows you to write things in while you're moving with the DAW. Sometimes I'll do certain tremolo type effects with my EQ. They'll be mapped to certain rhythms, and maybe it's a rhythm that adjusts to different spots in the music, just quarter, 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 triplet, something like that. Maybe it will do a different cadence at different spots in the music, and I don't want the, for example, tremolo to be set to the same value all the way through. The other thing you can do is you can go through, we have a delay here, right? We can go through and just say we want to make the values change as they go through the piece. So if I turn on the delay, you can see right now the wet value it's going to be changing based on whatever I do here, whatever the automation is driving it. So it's a very powerful tool. And yes, you can go through and just say, all right, it's going to sound really bad, but you can go like that and just change your delay time. I mean, really, all this stuff, whatever it is that you're touching, you can make it capture that CC data in Logic. Pretty powerful stuff. Okay, marquee. This is number 16. Marquee is extremely powerful. So I used to go through and just try and sync up things like this manually, and it takes a lot of time to drag all these around and make that all go to the same size or same length. There's a much easier way to do it. For me on my machine, I push escape and that brings up the tools. For you, it might be T. It depends on how you have your binding set up. But you go to marquee right here and you just click. And it has that section highlighted, and I can delete it and make all those the same. There's also a really powerful way to apply fades to multiple things. I have 2 fades attached right here, but let's say I wanted to attach fades to all of these audio regions. You can go the route of, if you select each waveform and then you can draw the wave. I find it best to start within the waveform itself and extend it out left to right, depending on what you're doing, and then it will populate there. Then you can change the shape via this way. But if you don't want to do that, instead of clicking, let's say you have like a huge number, 45 tracks, you need to apply a fade out to all of them. There's an easier way to do it. If they're all grouped up in your session, not like this, but they're all in the same chunk, then you can just make your little square, your selection square, before outside of the region and bring it in like this. And now all 4 of these are highlighted, or 5, however many there are. I think there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then you can draw your waveform that way. I find that pretty easy to do. So that's one little workaround I've found. Okay, the last tip, grouping. If you want to group some tracks together, it can be audio mixed with MIDI, it could be all MIDI, it could be all audio. Very, very simple. All you do is you just grab this. I like to use this view, and you go to your mixer and you do group 1, or you do group 2, group 3, you make a new group, doesn't matter. And it'll bring up, and you can name these things, let's say like polka band, or whatever. As you mute those, it's going to apply mute to all of them. But it didn't apply solo to all of them. Why is that? Because solo is not ticked over here. If I tick solo, it's going to solo all those out. The other thing is, if I want to change the volume, it's going to impact all those. Because basically all these things are happening. If I want to write automation, it's going to write automation to all of them. Now, you can go over here, you can change the settings, what you want to do. Maybe you don't want to do automation. Maybe you don't want to do volume. Maybe you want to do panning, whatever. You can go through and change all that. What's really neat about grouping is you can do different types of settings. Group 2 is only doing this. Group 1 is doing all that. Group 4 is doing that. It's very powerful. And of course you can go down and you can do color and stuff like that. So that is pretty much 18 tips and hacks that you have in Logic Pro. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you have your own tips or hacks that I did not cover, look for a part 2, or hit me up if I got anything wrong. Let me know how I can fix it. If you like these videos, please hit like, subscribe, comment, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.